All right. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. Simba salam. And Sabbath peace to one and all. I am Brother Spence up here in the kitchen. Say peace and eternal greetings. Salamta. Tanaya Stalim. Give thanks and praise on this blessed Sabbath, this true 7-day Shabbat. Again, and so last night, my good friend Chris Jones came over, my neighbor just up the street. My lady Pam went out to a local spot right on the outer skirts of Roanoke, Virginia, out here in Salem. We have a little spot called Pizza Den. Not quite as big as your Pizza Huts and Papa John's and Domino's Pizzas and all that jazz. But Pizza Den has been around for a long time in this area, since back in the 70s and 80s. And this Pizza Den in Salem, Virginia, has been promoting live music for the past year. They've been supporting and promoting a lot of local punk rock bands, which is awesome. A lot of indie rock bands, and different variations of rock bands, which is awesome. But last night they had Metal Night, so-called Heavy Metal Night. Well, when my brother and Chris invited us to go with them, around this time yesterday, I look at my cell phone before it died. I'm at work looking at my cell phone before it died, like, okay. And I assumed that it was another punk rock night. No, it was Metal Night. So now I'm thinking, okay, I already told Chris I would go. I'd like to do something with Pam to get her out of the house. Her family has been going through a lot of hardships lately. Her mother has dementia. One of her sisters, which is disabled. Both of her sisters are disabled, but one of her sisters has been sick for the past 2 weeks. She's not acting like herself. They took her to the hospital sometime this week. They took her to the hospital, I think, on Tuesday. And we've been snowed in because of all this ice and snow due to this past week's apocalypse snowstorm that hit the East Coast. You know, so there's been a lot of stuff going on. I thought, let's get out of the house as Yeshua taught, as Jesus Christ teaches I and I, even through his majesty as the one true King of Kings and the oneness of Messiah, the first advent, as I and I Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, or I and I Lord and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, that is Jesus, the Messiah, not Antichrist Jesus. We burn out that Antichrist Jesus worship and counterfeit Christianity. We burn out all the remnant of religious Babylon and political Babylon. But we give thanks and praise to the Most High Jah. And I'm thinking, okay, I like a lot of heavy metal. You know, old school Metallica, Deftones, Helmet, some old school Anthrax, some real metal, some good heavy metal that has conscious lyrics, just like a lot of punk rock music that has that angsty vibration, but it has angsty lyrics that take shots at the system, you know, that call out the corruption of our government, of all governments. Like Bob Marley said, a true soul rebel speaks the truth, like any true saint or true prophet. The true prophets, the true saints and righteous men and righteous women of the ages are rebels, revolutionaries. But see, a lot of people claim to be a rebel. That's right. A lot of people and sheeple of different races, different nationalities, different languages, different cultures, different forms of expression when it comes to music will claim to be rebels. They're angry, they're rebelling against something, they're expressing their frustration in life. But you can't understand a damn thing they say. I'm not trying to be funny, because I like different types of heavy metal, which I consider to be good metal or true heavy metal. And that true heavy metal spirit in its origin had that same angsty kind of rebellious vibration as other forms of hard rock, classic rock, punk rock. You have a mutual love. My brother and Chris and I have a mutual respect for the great Max Cavalera, the vocalist of the classic heavy metal band Sepultura from Brazil. Bands like Soulfly, where Max Cavalera, kind of infused or intertwined the indigenous Brazilian tribal sound with heavy metal. And in his expression, through his lyrics, he was able to project his voice with that classic metal growl, that heavy metal growl, but still project his lyrics to where you can understand. You can hear and understand what is being said. And since Max came out of darkness, a lot of worldly things that he was caught up in, when him and his brother first began and started that band Sepultura, Max repented. He put out a documentary back in the 90s, back in the mid to late 90s, about how he repented from all that and still utilized his culture as a metalhead and a musician. He plays heavy metal music, and through his lyrics began to acknowledge the Most High, to burn out these devils and call out Satan's kingdom. So I would recommend that those people listening who might like a lot of heavy metal and punk rock and heavier type of music through distortion, definitely check out Soulfly. Also check out some old school Sepultura. If you go too far back, you might not like what you see, because the earlier Sepultura was like borderline death metal. And there's nothing wrong with death metal. I like a little bit of death metal, but some of these so-called metalheads that went too far right, maybe too far left, and got caught up in this whole death metal, death metal mixed in with like black metal, potential satanic lyrics and expression, like Slayer. I think they have a lot of talent. They were more like speed metal back in the day. They did an excellent collaboration with Ice-T from Body Count years ago. But I don't like Slayer. Why are you promoting upside down pentagrams? Trying to be all badass and evil like you're a badass. Don't you know the powers that be that brought you counterfeit Christianity, Romanized, whitewashed Gentile Christianity, a pretty little package that caused your mommy or daddy or your uncle or your church's pastor to say something to piss you off because of the way you express yourself, the way you dress. Yeah, those same people that push that hypocrisy through counterfeit Christianity, not the true original Christian faith of His Majesty, the returned Christos as the one true King of Kings, not the original Ethiopian Orthodox Christian faith, but that Tewahedo faith in its origin, parallel to the original Israelite faith in Messiah according to the Bible. They want to give you their false interpretation of the Bible, get you hoodwinked and bamboozled and deceived year after year, season after season, to submit to the powers that be, that utilize that same upside down pentagram and these satanic symbols. Think. So what is a true rebel? Because I was thinking last night, I went out to Pizza Den with my lady Pam and my good friend Chris Jones. And Chris is awesome. He's a true metalhead, and he appreciates a lot of the same artists that I do when it comes to heavy metal music. Chris comes over here a lot. We'll step out on the back porch and smoke a blunt and listen to different types of metal songs, and he'll get on his little kick and say, "Hey, have you heard this? Have you heard that?" And both of us love some Suicidal Tendencies and Infectious Grooves and a lot of similar bands that, Chris is pretty open-minded about different types of music, as I am, which is a good thing. But Chris also gets into the Slayer and he gets into this other stuff. And, I'm not against that type of expression. These cats were just standing there in a trance. Last night at Pizza Den, here I am in Sabbath mode, Shabbat Shalom, Simba Salam, do good on the Sabbath, and I just chilled, eating my gluten-free pizza that was already prepaid, sipping my red wine out of my coffee thermoses that I did not have to pay for. Shomer Shabbos. Shomer effing Shabbos. For those that have seen the Big Lebowski, not to be blasphemous on Shabbat. But yes, I was in Sabbath mode, chilling. And I actually liked the heavy metal band that was playing when Pam and I and Chris first arrived in the entrance. They had a nice groove. I was kind of shaking my head and kind of grooving out to the rhythms. A nice growl. The man projected his voice. He was expressing poetry and rage, justified rage. That's metal. That's good heavy metal. But then the next band that Chris wanted to see, because he knows a couple guys in the band, was more like, and that's all good. I'm not trying to criticize or disrespect anybody's personal preference when it comes to music. I'm just saying, what the hell is he talking about? Are we praising Satan? Are we praising Beelzebub? Or is translated to, damn, sometimes life gets me down and I get pissed off. Sometimes I expect to get, my Christmas card in the mail from my dad that has money in it because I don't have a lot of money like some people. Sometimes I get tired of hearing about how my mail and my other Christmas card that my grandmother gave me, ends up getting sent back to their address because the post office is full of idiots. Maybe that's translated to, and that's cool. But if we could understand that, brother, you brothers out there in these more death metal bands, and just because it's more death metal as opposed to like heavy metal, does not mean it's black metal. So on the flip side, I take up for a lot of idiots, or Salika, I take up for a lot of people in that scene that get misjudged by other idiots, thinking that just because somebody's playing heavy metal or death metal that they're satanic. That's nonsense. But at the same time, I'm just wondering, what are you saying? And what kind of positive lyrics, angsty, righteously angry, positive lyrics are you projecting to that angst, to that growl, to enlighten us of how to rebel against the powers that be when it comes to true anarchy? That same angsty drive within a lot of original old school heavy metal bands. I give respect to Ozzy Osbourne, the great legend, and Black Sabbath, but they said some stuff back then. It wasn't just biting off heads and worshiping the devil. That was more for shock value and I get it, to show how metal you are. And I'm not against that either. I'm just saying, what is a true rebel according to the Bible? Well, I'll tell you what, these actual Satanists who dress up as clean cut as any yuppie or church going Christian, not a true original Orthodox Christian. And when I say Orthodox Christianity, I'm not just speaking of the Ethiopian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. A lot of the Russian Orthodox churches have the original paintings of Christ or Messiah in the first Advent. Dark, brown, melanin skin, Afrocentric features, Afro-Shemitic features. See, some of the Russian Orthodox Christians did not have their paintings hijacked and whitewashed like other countries did throughout Europe and pretty much the whole world. Food for thought. But anyway, not to get into that, you can be a true Christian of any denomination, Orthodox, outside of Orthodox. You can even be Catholic or Protestant, but be a true Christian and begin to take little increments, little baby steps in the right direction as you begin to grow in grace. Because the Bible tells you, be not conformed to the pattern of this world system. But the same world system promotes counterfeit Christianity. So if you're going to be a rebel, be a righteous man. That is all Pam is calling it. Shalom.